Have you ever noticed how some stories get told over and over while others rarely make it to our bookshelves? Or why certain perspectives are considered universal while others are labeled as ethnic literature? That one is actually kind of a big deal for me as an Asian American woman. Today, we're diving into postcolonial theory, a powerful lens that completely changes how we read and understand literature from around the world. Hi, my name is Moana, and this is my reading buddy Spike. He's so sleepy today. And I am a reading and writing lover who disliked English class as both a student and a teacher, and I'm now documenting my journey of rediscovering my love for words. This video is part of my series explaining literary theory, so please check out the entire playlist to see more of the other theories. Today's theory might have a complex name, but it's about something surprisingly simple. Who gets to tell stories, whose stories get heard, and why that matters. So what is post-colonial theory? Imagine literature as a global conversation. For centuries, this conversation was mostly dominated by a few voices, while others were either silenced or spoken for. Post-colonial theory is about understanding this power dynamic, hearing the voices that were silenced, recognizing how colonialism shapes stories, and finding new ways to tell and read stories. So let's start off with some key concepts, beginning with this idea called writing back to the center. Imagine Western literature as this huge conversation that's been going on for centuries, but for a long time it was pretty one-sided. Writing back to the center is when authors from formerly colonized countries say, "Hold up, let me tell you how it really is." For example, in Jane Eyre, we meet Bertha Mason as the mad woman in the attic, just some obstacle in Jane's love story. And if you're not familiar with the literary term of the mad woman in the attic, make sure you check out my feminist theory video in this playlist where I explain it in detail. So author Jean Rice wrote Wide Sargasso Sea in 1966, telling Bertha's story, explaining things like her real name, her life in the Caribbean, and how colonialism and patriarchy affected her fate. So basically, what was just a plot device in Jane Eyre became a powerful story about identity and power in the Wide Sargasso Sea. And something that I find really exciting is that modern authors are still writing back. We have several works such as Adicia's Americana, which challenges how America and Britain write about Africa. Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children, which rewrites India's independence from British perspectives. And Ocean Vuong's On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which responds to how Vietnamese people have been portrayed in American literature. So think about it like this. Imagine someone else told your life story but got everything wrong. Wouldn't you want to set the record straight? That's what many authors are doing now, but on a much bigger scale. So remember, writing back isn't just about correcting the record. It's about claiming the power to tell your own story in your own way. Another key concept in writing back to the center is hybridity and cultural identity. I think in our globalized world, it's hard to define any specific culture with the way that we're all constantly mixing and being influenced by other people. A good example of this would be when we look at food. Several years ago, Korean tacos became a big hit here in Hawaii. So would we consider Korean tacos as Korean or Mexican? I don't think we would say that it's exclusively either of those things. Instead, there's something new and wonderful that comes from cultures meeting and mixing. This mixing is what theorists call hybridity. It happens in literature too, and it's actually really fascinating. We're seeing this now in books where authors are mixing languages and blending traditions to reflect our own hybridized society. Hybridizing is almost like the opposite of the next concept, which would be the other and othering. So have you ever watched a movie where all the villains have foreign accents? Or read a book where an entire culture is reduced to a few stereotypes? That's othering, and once you learn to spot it, you'll see it everywhere. Some stereotypical examples include things like the wise Asian mentor who only speaks in proverbs, or the noble savage, or the exotic temptress, or even the foreign villain. With writing back to the center, we don't see these stereotypes since these are more caricatures rather than realistic human beings. So, postcolonial theory helps us understand contemporary immigration stories, global literature trends, cultural appropriation debates, representation in publishing, and the hashtag Own Voices movement. When reading with postcolonial theory, we ask questions like, whose perspective is centered? What assumptions are made about different cultures? How does power operate in the story? And what role does language play, as well as how are different cultures represented? All of this matters in our society today because understanding post-colonial theory helps us read more globally, recognize diverse perspectives, understand cultural contexts, and challenge our reading habits. So I would love to hear from you. Are there any fiction books that you have read that helped you to understand a different culture? Let me know in the comments. For my next video, we'll be covering psychoanalytic theory, where we'll explore how literature reveals the hidden workings of the mind. Thank you so much for joining me for this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. Until next time, happy reading and see you soon!